The history of Record, Rank, and Publish really began with me reading Bigger, Faster, Stronger 20-some years ago. And with Bigger, Faster, Stronger, they really made a big deal about breaking records every day. And so to break records, you have to have records. So you write down the damn things that you've accomplished every single day. The thing I didn't like about BFS, I didn't want kids writing into their own booklet. I wanted them to work out. And so what we would do is when I ran a weight room shortly after reading this book, we simply reported a couple lifts every day to somebody with a clipboard, and then I took it from there. This is from like 20 years ago, and it shows these were my juniors in the weight room that year, and you can see I did a lot of work. We not only kept individual records, Record, Rank, and Publish stuff, but we had group records. We had juniors that were heavyweights, for example, and these were the tests we did. We did the 5-rep bench, 5-rep deadlift, 5-rep parallel squats, 5-rep cleans. We did pull-ups where we did 3 sets and added them all together. We did dips where we did 3 sets and added them all together. We did other lifts as well. These weren't the only lifts, but this is what we did in terms of collecting data. The other lifts, we did not collect data, but we still did those things. And we didn't do these every day. For example, one group would report their bench and deadlift on a Monday. The B group would report their parallel squats and cleans on a given day, and a C group on that same day would report their pull-ups and dips, and then we would change it. We did that because we didn't have a lot of stuff in our weight room. We were a small school. We only had like 3 racks. So anyway, this is what we did, and this got it all going. You can see that we did a lot of different testing down at the bottom. We only did vertical jump and standing long jump when the weather would not allow us to go outside. 90% of the things at the bottom were 40-yard dash. The 40-yard dash was the cornerstone of everything we did. When I was running this program, we would lift on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we would sprint on Tuesday and Thursday. I've grown a lot. I no longer work in a weight room, so it's all speed stuff for me, speed and jumping and things. But I wrote this article, and you may be interested in it to read further about Record, Rank, and Publish. Without data, you don't know where you've been, and you don't know where you're going. This is one of my slogans or catchphrases or whatever. It's really important to be able to show a kid where he's been, because that will allow him to see progress. Progress is so important. There are so many coaches that coach without data. That practice is just hard work. Our data comes from maybe a track meet. For a football team, they may have no data at all, except for the score on Friday night. So it's really important to me to have that going on. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I think I'll talk about this when I'm 90 years old. Tyler Hoosman played on a really good freshman football team that I coached, but he never got to play a single play in an A game. He played in the game following the A game, and he got to carry the ball a few times, but he was really slow. His rank on the team was number 46. We had 63 kids on our freshman football team, and he was ranked 46. That means that most of our starting linemen were faster than Tyler Hoosman, our running back. But he went through my speed training in the summer before his freshman football season. We did speed training in season. We did speed training during the winter, and then he came out. His dad made him come out for track, and he was my slowest sprinter by far on the track team. But he's such a great kid and stuff, and he had a good look about him that we kept him, and he just kept getting better. So I was able to show Tyler where he'd come from speed-wise. And then as a sophomore, he got really motivated. He got really excited because he saw progress. And then, he ended up being our best running back on the varsity. We played for the state championship his senior year. And his best time ended up being 4.34 and 0.97 the 10-meter fly. That's 23 miles an hour. So that's super fast. And if you're super fast and a good kid, like, you're going to play some college football. So he's a starting running back at University of Northern Iowa. This is what a ranking will look like. This is from a Google Doc. I'm sorry, a Google Sheet. That's the spreadsheet of Google. Google's a great thing, and I will go through a tutorial of Google later in this course. But on the far left, you'll see two columns, and those two columns is last year's average time and last year's best time. The best time's in yellow. Once again, I'm showing kids where they've been, where they've come from. And then on the right of their name, of course, is this year's average and this year's best. And, each time is a best time from that given day. On the far right, you see 10-meter flies. On the left, you have 40 times. On the right, you see 10-meter fly times. Once again, we will go through this, and I'm going to teach everybody how to feel competent when they're ranking times. And we rank everything. This is a workout. This is what we call the 23-second drill, where we see how far we can run in 23 seconds, and then we take an 8-minute recovery, usually in a fetal position because they're flooded with lactate and suffering from acidosis. But we do two 23-second runs, and we record, of course, how far they go. But this is what I was going to tell you about. We can do so many cool things. Like on the right, you see 12 years. Think about that, 12 years of doing this. We do it about 3 times every winter. And so I have a senior rankings, a junior rankings, a sophomore rankings, and a freshman. So I have them separated so that freshmen can compete against freshmen from the last 12 years. In yellow are the guys from my present team. This was my 2020 team that only got to run 2 indoor track meets, and then our season was canceled this year. In red, and this is important, in red are my all-staters from the last 12 years. And you see, for example, Marcellus Moore is at the top of the freshmen, top of the sophomores, top of the juniors, and that's because he's the fastest guy in the history of the state of Illinois. Holds the 100-meter record, 10.31. The reason why he was not at the top of the senior list is that he never had a senior year. He graduated early this year so he could go run at Purdue, and he got 3rd place in the Big Ten indoors in the 60 as a pre-freshman. Basically he was a high school senior at age 17 getting 3rd place in the Big Ten, so he's super fast. But forever now, our freshmen will be able to know Marcellus Moore ran a 2:08 as a freshman when he was a freshman, and they can compete against that. They can also compete against Quest Young, arguably the second best guy in the history of Plainfield North, who went 184. And I had 3 guys on my team this year who ran better than Quest Young. That gives these guys motivation and hope that they could be great, like an all-stater, because they're up there on the list ahead of somebody who had all-state credentials.